Awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. Amanda and I kind of birthed the idea of this series when we realized how closely that your physical health and your financial health were together. And so I guess we should introduce ourselves first. For anybody that doesn't know us, right? My name is Ticha Brannan. I'm with Primerica Financial Services, and I am a licensed financial advisor. And Amanda?
And I am Amanda, and I am a physical therapist, a nutrition specialist, and a integrative health coach. What that means is that I help people transform their movement, meals, mindset, and metabolism. And so I'm excited for us to have this conversation about springing into an abundant life. So it just became spring. The weather here, I don't know where you are in the Mid-South, is beautiful. And I know that a lot of us are rethinking, putting new energy into the goals that we have for this spring. And it's really amazing how the healthy habits that I talk to people about in building a strong, resilient body are very similar to the same habits that Ticha teaches in building a strong bank account and financial reserve. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to help you. We hope that you get re-inspired to achieve your physical and financial health goals. We want to help you learn how to work smarter and not harder towards those goals. And we want to help you discover the best way to overcome any roadblocks so that you ensure success.
One of the things that you have to do in both your financial and your physical health is to really get clear on what it is you want, right? To understand where you want to be, because you won't make a change until you have identified that a change needs to happen. So you need to get really clear on what it is that you want to work on, because you can't be so vague with yourself as to say, oh, well, I just want to lose some weight. Well, what does that mean, right? So I think one of the first things in both that you have to do is to figure out what it is that you want, where it is that you want to be as you move along this journey. And we've already introduced ourselves.
We did. That's about us. So, and I think is the next slide that first. Oh, no, I already said that. Okay.
Yes, we were way ahead of our slides.
Way ahead. So this was number one, what you were just speaking about planning your healthy habits. And it's just really important to have a plan. And it seems simple and it seems basic and it seems like not a big deal, but really it can be the absolute biggest step. It's what I see in whether people get where they want to go and not, is making sure that they're going in the right direction. And that's what a plan does. I heard someone say the other day that it doesn't matter how fast you go, it matters that you're going in the right direction. And so that's what a plan helps you do. You have to know what you want, where you want to be, and make a roadmap so you know how to get there. I know that I've had several clients over the past couple of months, probably since January, when kind of everybody made New Year's resolutions, people jumped on the quick fix and, they wanted results and they wanted results fast, and they really didn't make a long-term plan. What they made was a maybe 21-day commitment to do something. And after those 3 weeks were up, they realized this isn't sustainable. This isn't something that I'm going to be able to continue for the long term. This isn't something that I can make a habit. So maybe they went fast towards a goal, but they weren't able to sustain that. And now a couple months into the year, they're finding I'm right back to where I started, because even though I shot out of the starting block really quickly, there was not a plan in place to get to that final destination where they wanted to be. And they ended up back at the beginning, maybe taking the route that was a little bit slower, but that was going to provide habits and routines that they were going to be able to stick with for the long term to get to their ultimate destination.
And I find almost the exact same time frame. It's so interesting. People usually spend a lot of money during the holidays. So one of the things they always have on that top 10 list of resolutions is to save more money and get out of debt, right? And for us, we one of the things I read that has always stuck with me was that if you don't tell your money where to go, you will absolutely wonder where it went. Right. And so when we're talking about planning, we're not talking about that you have to have something so rigid that you can't work in it. Because, like Amanda said, if you go too far in any direction, you might not be going the right way. So you want to sit down first and determine what does the plan look like? What is it that I need to do next? Right. And I've always found that they try to think of the whole goal. And if you try to think of the whole goal, you'll overwhelm yourself. Start with the first step. What can I do? What can I do quickly that will make a big difference right now? If you get a win pretty quickly in your journey, you're more likely to keep going. Do you see the same thing, Amanda?
Yes, absolutely. I don't like quick fixes, like I just said, but I do like quick wins. And that's just finding the small things for health. Oftentimes I find that's just working on your sleep. I've had, especially women in midlife, find that they get a good night's sleep, they don't have a weight loss problem anymore. It was just that they needed to get better sleep. And those small things are giving them quick wins. It's not a quick fix, it's a long-term solution, but it's a quick win that then gets you motivated to maybe sometimes tackle some of the harder, more challenging things like actually getting to the gym, when you're motivated by those quick wins.
Sorry. There we go. Number 2, anticipating roadblocks. So financially, this is where we start talking about planning for the inevitable, right? Because everybody is going to have something they didn't expect financially. It happens all the time, and usually at the worst time, right? So you've got to know, number one, that you've got a plan to address those. If you're blindsided by them, you'll go into panic mode and shut down. But if you've already talked through them, if you've already made a plan to address what you can address, then you're less likely to blow up the whole plan because you never saw it coming, right? And a roadblock can be something as simple as a habit, right, Amanda?
Mm-hmm. True.
There's a habit, yeah.
Yeah, so it's anything that would get in the way of that plan. So if we first said we need to make a plan to where we're going. And a roadblock's just something that gets in the way. As far as healthy habits, that can be just going on a vacation and getting out of your routine. For me, what really messes with my healthy habits is having a kid homesick. So having a kid home with the flu for the week completely can derail me from my exercise habits, my nutrition habits, my meal planning. It just kind of consumes me. And if I'm not prepared for that, I'm going to have trouble getting back on track. There are times when we go on a vacation and we choose to, if I'm going to Italy, I don't usually eat pasta, but if I go to Italy, I'm going to eat the pasta. That's not being derailed. That's making a choice to enjoy my vacation. I'm talking about, things that really get in the way. It might be something like an illness, personally. It could be the pandemic. I feel like 90% of the women I talk to every week we can trace back kind of this breakdown of healthy habits or start of frustration with their health back to the pandemic, from the stress, from the unknown, from just the change in, lifestyle for a period of time. And that roadblock kept them stuck. By anticipating roadblocks, now none of us knew a pandemic was coming, but I feel like we're all a little bit more aware that we don't know what's coming. And anticipating roadblocks is just saying, okay, let me think about maybe the next 90 days. and what could possibly get in the way of the plan that I have made for myself. It can be a vacation, that's coming up, and we've decided we're going to stick with our healthy habits on that vacation. I've had at least 3 clients I followed up with this week who went on spring break last week and are so surprised that they didn't gain weight. They're like, they don't, how did that happen? How did I go on vacation and my clothes still fit? And it's because that we adapted their routine to the vacation, and we planned for that so that the roadblock didn't get them off track. What kind of roadblocks do you find your clients face?
I was laughing when you were talking about the pandemic, because I saw the same thing, and on 2 different levels, right? I mean, for some people, the pandemic meant there was no income coming in, but people that had a plan for if that happened. Nobody knew, like you said, that it was going to happen, but people that had a plan for what if I don't have income for a while. They didn't know it was going to be a pandemic, but they had a plan. Those people were okay. Most people weren't in that situation. They never expected for their income to stop on a dime, right? And the other side of the spectrum, with all the people that were going to work and were able to work from home, were now shopping online. I saw credit card debt for about a dozen of my clients go up during the pandemic, and they didn't expect to have that time and be bored and all those things, right? Emotional, right? And so like you said though, Amanda, I think it's about making those adjustments when you know something's coming, or when you're in something and you're like, hold on, I got to address this, right? So I think I saw the same thing. That's why I thought it was interesting. Every time we have these conversations, it's like the 2 things are so related, because we're emotional about both, right? We're emotional about our health, and we're emotional about our money. And it's just about having somebody, a professional that has kind of, studied this and knows something, to walk you through your emotions. I tell people all the time, I am not a money manager. I'm a client behavior manager, because that's what they need help with, is their behavior. Do you find the same thing?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I do with people and their finances, or not their finances, but with their health. I don't do anything with their finances. But it's a matter of not letting things catch you off guard. It's knowing that there will be roadblocks, period. It's not if something comes up, it's something will come up. If you're at this long enough, if you're, saving long enough, if you're working on your health long enough, something is going to come up, and not letting it catch you off guard. Having reserve. So you talk about, having savings and having financial reserve. You also have reserve in your health, which allows you to be more resilient when something does come up. Just not being caught off guard, knowing that you can work through it, and not letting one little hiccup throw you way off course. I always tell people, when it comes to nutrition, that one salad didn't make you healthy, and, one decadent dessert isn't going to make you unhealthy. You just get back on track. You make the choice and you move on. And you commit to not letting little road bumps become a roadblock for you. And number 3 that we're going to talk about here, scheduling routine checkups, is I think part of the way that we manage that in reality. So, roadblocks come up. We sometimes are moving faster or slower towards our goals, and scheduling routine checkups to evaluate where we are in that plan is where I see people really see success when they take the time to do that. What does that look like for you?
So regular checkups for us really is at least that annual or annual review, but then to also have the ability to do checkups when needed, because we don't get all of our illness when we go to the doctor for our annual checkups, right? And so sometimes you need to schedule a more frequent routine, especially when you're starting out, right? because you need more help, guidance, and coaching getting through the things that you're trying to accomplish. And we have an acronym, PDA, and I don't mean public displays of affection. I mean plan, do, adjust, right? Because things do happen, like we were talking about in number 2, the roadblocks, the unexpected things. Some you can plan for, some you can't. And you have to have those checkups to make small adjustments, right? Small adjustments can make a huge improvement, but if it keeps compounding to the negative, it can be much harder to come back from. So if you get a little off, that checkup is going to bring you back to, oh yeah, I was drifting, I wasn't paying attention, right? Just to remind you of what your goals are. Because if you're not emotionally tied to that goal, you're not going to keep working towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that too?
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about being emotionally tied to a goal? Because I find this very true with health. We talked at the very beginning about making a plan toward a goal, but I think what that goal is super important, because I find that a lot of people initially come to me with a goal of weight loss. And usually a weight loss goal, unless we tie it to something deeper, is not enough for the long-term success. So when you talk about goals like that, what do you mean by that?
So I play this game, honestly, Amanda, with my clients when we're trying to get to that, because we don't naturally go to, oh, that's why I'm doing this, right? Especially when it's a long-term goal that you have to keep working for. So the game I play with my clients is I say, okay, imagine for a moment that money is no issue. What would your retirement look like? What would you do in the mornings when you got up? Where would you wake up? Like, I have to open their minds to think about the future. If you can see it, if you can imagine what it's going to look like, you are more likely to build that emotional bond to it. And vision boards, I use a lot of vision boards on my team, and a lot of my clients use them as well, because when you can see it, when you have it in front of you, I have clients that are going to Italy, and so she has cut out pictures of all the places they're going, because they're saving more money to have when they're there. They've already paid for their trip. So, I mean, she's so excited because she's not going to have to check the price tags, right? I mean, so having that visual or that image, what is it? You write the vision down, you got to make it plain where you can see it and then move towards it. So I think it has to go to your heart. It has to mean something deeper than, like you said, for fun. It can't just be, oh, I want to retire one day. What does that look like? What does that mean? I mean, that's not real to anybody. So I think it's super important for anybody that wants to achieve a goal to find, I've heard that if you ask why and you answer it, and then you ask why again and you answer it, and if you do that 7 times and you actually answer it, you'll get to a deep enough why to tie you to your goal.
Because when you ask people about retirement, I bet that doesn't look the same for everyone, does it?
Absolutely not. And I think that's why, we can't answer. I know you have the same thing. Every person is different when it comes to their finances, just like every person is different when it comes to their health challenges. I saw your post about this is too general to be of use to anybody. That was a great post. Can you talk about that for a second?
Yes, it was a post. I actually put it in my private Facebook group, Peak Wellness Tribe, and it was kind of like a plate. And you see this, I think the government came out with this plate of you should have this much of this and this much of this and this much of this. And that's a great place to start. And for somebody who is really just going from, eating fast food 3 meals a day to wanting to clean up their diet some, that's a good first step. But when it comes to big goals for people, and I'm talking about, so my clients are working towards getting off diabetes medication. They're working towards getting off cholesterol medication. They're wanting to have more energy after having an autoimmune disease. They, from the pandemic, they have long COVID and they want to get their energy and vitality back. They want to balance their hormones. When we're talking about these kind of goals, when people really want to feel vibrant and amazing in their body, and they want to still feel that way in retirement, because we're playing the long game here. So we're not just talking about, for a beach vacation. We're talking about looking and feeling our best for as long as possible. You're going to need to dial things in more specifically. You're going to need something personalized. That plan that you make, it needs to be specific to your goal. Because when I talk to people about healthy nutrition, that looks very different from for everyone. My husband and I, we live in the same home. We eat from the same refrigerator. We sit down to the same meals, but his goals and how his body works is very different than mine. And so even though I kind of I don't make separate meals for us, our plates look very different because we have different genetics, we have different health histories, and we have different goals for our body right now. And so our plates look very different. We're kind of headed in the same direction, but our specific goals and our plans to get there have to be different. And coming back to checkups, when we set that goal, when we know why we want it, it's easy to get off track. When we set that goal, it's exciting, it's fun, it's motivating, but that only lasts so long. We only have so much excitement. We only have so much willpower. Sometimes a roadblock kind of sets us, off the course. And sometimes it's just time passes. And I know for me, when it comes to saving financially, I'm in my early 40s, retirement's way off. It's kind of hard to think that far ahead. So unless I'm sitting down on a regular basis and revisiting my goals, why I care about those goals, how I'm either making progress or not towards those goals is really important, or I'll never get there. That's just the hard truth.
I think you and I were having the conversation about the gap and the gain, right? Mm-hmm. So we tend to live in the future, right? We're always looking ahead. We're always looking for our goal, right? That's what we're supposed to do. Look at our goal. But I think the other thing that a checkup does is it allows you to stop and look how far you've come, right? Because when you're doing those boring, mundane things that you have to do to have a routine that's going to produce the results you want to have, it gets boring. Like you said, it's like day in, day out, time passes and you feel like nothing's changing. When you have that checkup, you can actually, document, this is where I am, and look to where you were. And that's the gain that you've made by making that progress, which I think just in turn does exactly what you said in the beginning, Amanda. It gets you that excitement back. It gets you that motivation back. So a routine checkup is, that force, that accountability that can keep you on that track, and you can have somebody to lock arms with you and help you do that.
So I like that you pointed out that a routine or a checkup doesn't have to mean somebody's checking in to wave their finger at you and tell you you've done something wrong. Sometimes we think about, I'm going to go to the doctor and they're going to tell me my blood pressure is too high again, or they're going to tell me I need to lose weight, or, whatever it is for you. But sometimes a checkup is a celebration, and really there's always something to celebrate. There's some sort of progress that's been made. And although sometimes we have to correct course, a lot of times a checkup's about celebrating how far you've come. And, maybe you've made some mistakes, but we can fail forward. Failure doesn't mean final. And we can move forward from those. We can celebrate the wins. I think when it comes to our health, we don't celebrate our wins enough. don't celebrate the good days. We don't celebrate the days that we jump out of bed and feel amazing, when we make good choices, when we get to the gym. And I think it's just, as adults, we don't celebrate. As kids, we get high fives, and people cheer us on in sports, and we get stickers. Like, maybe if we sat outside the gym and you got a gold star when you walked out of the gym, maybe, it would motivate people. But having someone that you check in with doesn't only help hold you accountable to doing what you say you're going to do and keeping you on course, but it's also somebody who's going to celebrate you. And I want to add, when we talk about somebody that we check in with, I would highly recommend that that person be a professional. The reason being is we can have friends, we can have colleagues, we can have camaraderie in a neighborhood, or on a team at work, or in a Facebook group. But the reality is, it's not that person's job. It's not your spouse's job to hold you accountable to the goals you set for your health. Finances, you might be in it a little bit more together, but
yeah,
they're kind of they're running their own course, and they're working on their things. And your friends are the same way. They can be there to support you. They can be there to cheer you on. But when it comes to having that checkup on where you are working towards your goals, if you really want to accelerate forward in these areas, those check-ins, those checkups should be with someone who is skilled. I promise you that making financial investments in your health and in your wealth is going to grow both your health and your wealth.
absolutely. Those small habits compound over time. And I think what you were saying, that is so true in your finances too, though. If you're not being accountable to somebody that has your best interest at heart, if you're not talking to a professional, if you Google any given subject, you can find thousands and thousands and thousands of answers. And you have no way to know if it applies to your situation. You have no way to know, because the people who wrote those answers know nothing about you. They know nothing about where you are. And working with a professional that is, bound to help you and move you along to the best of their education and ability is much different than finding what you want your retirement to be in on TikTok.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. There's almost too much information out there when it comes to your health and your finances to know what really applies to you, and who we should be listening to. And we hope that part of this webinar helps you get to know us a little bit, so that we can be someone that hopefully you can trust to ask your questions and come to for information, whether we work together formally or not. When it comes to checkups, what does that look like for you? You said sometimes more often at first. What's kind of the typically, how often does someone sit down and meet with you to check in on their finances?
So the most typical is annually, but I also do semi-annually and quarterly. I do my checkups based on my clients, because just like we were talking about how everybody's different, every client deserves the attention that they need to feel good about what they're doing. And so I have clients that trust me, they understand the process. They're like, just talk to me once a year, we're good. They really have that comfort level. And then I have clients that see any and everything on the news and panic, and they need to talk to me at least once a quarter so that I told you I manage client behavior. So that's how I have to set up my check-ins. It has to be based on the client needs. So mine's not very standard.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
But you,
absolutely. Yeah, you have to meet people where they are. So most of my clients start working with me on a weekly basis. So when we're making a plan for people's healthy habits, it's a every week. My program, my Embracing Health program, is 12 weeks, and we work one week after the other, stacking those healthy habits on each other until people are confident that they're moving in the right direction. It, to me, I've played with different time frames, and 12 weeks seems to be the magic place where people feel like they really have control of their habits. They know what they're doing. They're in a good routine. We've had over, that's 3 months. So surely some sort of roadblock has come up that we've had to navigate. And then after that time, some people choose to kind of reconvene and check in monthly, sometimes quarterly. I feel like people often, usually with their health, have something at least once a quarter that we kind of need to tweak and change and revisit. Sometimes that's just a quick email or quick phone call. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Sometimes it's kind of just checking in and saying, "Are you good?" Like, "I'm good." I'm like, "Awesome. What's going good?" And taking a minute to celebrate so that we're motivated to keep going.
I think that is so true, because I know that I had no idea how much protein I needed to be eating. Like, if you Google that, like I said before, go Google how much protein should I eat? There's a million answers. And I know that that's not, one of them might get lucky, but I don't know which one. So working with a professional definitely helps you get those specific answers that you're looking for there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, before we take any questions, let's real quick go back and talk about, so if we want to live our best life with physical and financial health, there's 3 things we need to do. We need to plan out our healthy habits, like actually write them down, or computer if that's your thing, but actually put them down. Even better, like a vision board, if you put them where you can see them on a regular basis, whether that's in words or pictures. That's going to help keep you motivated and on track. Number 2, we're going to anticipate roadblocks. We're going to say, what could possibly get in the way, and how can we be better prepared to navigate that, and not let it completely just stop us from getting where we want to be. And then we're going to schedule routine checkups in order to make sure that we are celebrating the progress that we've made, and that we're staying on course, and that maybe we're correcting course, because maybe the path that we were on, maybe one of those roadblocks significantly affected where we're headed. Like when you're driving, maybe you hit a dead end. You've got to your car is saying, recalibrating, finding new directions, and it's going to find a different way to go. And sometimes we need to do that too. But those are the 3 steps that we suggest taking in order to better plan out and reach success in those areas. So anything else you want to add, Ticha? Or you want to see if anybody has questions?
No, I think, no, let's see if anybody has any questions. If you have one, you can just unmute yourself and just say if it's for me or Amanda.
I have a question for Amanda.
Yes, ma'am.
So this 12-week program you're talking about, how does that work with you? How do you get set up? What does that entail? Like, because I love, definitely, when you have to plan, that's the only way you can do things, planning. And then there's always roadblocks. And
Yes, so I do have an option to just do a planning session with people, but usually that's not what people need. People usually need that follow-up. And what that is, I work with clients all over the country, so that does not have to be in person. Most of that I do virtually. So we get on a Zoom or a Google Meet, and we meet weekly to progress through a system that I've found works best. I especially in my program, I've worked with men. I have nothing against the men, but I will say that my program is specifically tailored towards women at midlife, because the system that I have works best for those of us in this season of where maybe hormones are changing a little bit and going awry. And sometimes that's one of our roadblocks. So it's a 12-week program. We meet weekly. We go through meal planning. We go through exercise. We address other lifestyle habits like sleep, stress, hydration, any roadblocks that come up. The best way to learn more about that is to do a discovery visit. So I do discovery visits are absolutely free. It's 30 minutes that we spend talking about what your goals are, and we can find out if coaching is a good fit for you, or if maybe there's somebody else, another, like I said, I highly recommend you work with an expert, but maybe it's not me. And we can find you the person that you need to work with if I'm not the one for you. Thank you for asking. And I will put, let's see, I will maybe put in the chat, or I can email out a link. Ticha and I both do discovery visits. So what we'll do is anybody who signed up for this, we will send out the link for our scheduled discovery visits with either of us in an email. So everyone has access to that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. And that is exactly true. Another thing that Amanda and I found that made us so similar in what we do is that we both do discovery visits. Mine sometimes are a little longer than 30 minutes, but it's for the same purpose, right? I might not be the right fit for everybody. I might not do what everybody needs, but that discovery visit gives us the opportunity to figure that out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, my goal is, whether it's in physical, when I'm working as a physical therapist or I'm working as a health coach or nutrition specialist, my goal is always to help people make better decisions about their health and feel confident in the decisions that they're making. And I know that's true for you, Ticha, as well, that you want people to be confident in the decisions they're making about their money.
Absolutely. All right. Are there any other questions?
Amanda, this is Lisa. What is the best way to know if it is your hormones that are out of whack and not something else?
Yeah, so there are, I suggest that when people go for their physical at their doctor, to ask to have their hormones checked. And that's kind of a screening tool, to be very honest. Blood work for hormonal levels is not particularly accurate. Because as women, our hormones change frequently. And so what blood work does is it says at that 1 second moment of time, this is what your hormones did. But we have no idea what they're doing the rest of the day or the rest of the month. One of the best ways is to do a hormone questionnaire and identify symptoms that you may be experiencing, especially if you're perimenopause, which starts usually between the ages of 35 and 40 and can last until menopause at 50, 55 years old. We oftentimes don't realize that whole process can be like 2 decades long. And but in that period, there's some hormone questionnaires that we can go through. I can do that with people on a discovery visit to kind of identify what's probably high, what's probably low. And I like to start with lifestyle interventions, being nutrition, stress management, supplementation, before we go straight to, there's nothing wrong if hormone replacement is necessary, but I like to start with your nutrition and lifestyle, because if you go straight for the other things, you might not see results because you haven't addressed the things underlying first. So either way, I'd like to work on those things first based on a hormone questionnaire. And then if there's still some things that you feel like you need to tweak and change, we can go back to the doctor and say, these things are off. What can you do for me to get things a little more balanced?
Awesome.
May I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
So this one's for you, Ticha. So I know you were saying with financial planning. So in financial planning, do you just do like 401ks? Do you do like where you can save money every month? Well, I mean, what type of, is there a spectrum that you do?
So yes, absolutely. So I am actually licensed in about 7 Southeast states. And in all of those states, I can do anything from an individual IRA to a small business 401k to managed accounts. And none of that, I can't tell anybody, like Amanda was saying, I can't tell you just talking to you for a minute or two which one would be right for you. So my process involves sitting down and doing a complete financial analysis, because I can't tell you that any specific investment is right for you if I don't know how much your emergency fund is, if I don't know how much debt you're carrying, because it would be irresponsible of me to put you in a product that was counterintuitive to the rest of your financial situation. So I start with that discovery meeting as well to figure out if we're a good fit, but then to figure out what steps do we need to take to prepare to work together, because it's a process and there's information that, that you need to be able to do that. But sorry, to answer your question, I do all of those things. It doesn't matter.
Can you do trust for kids?
So trusts are actually a legal document. You have to have an attorney to draw up the trust, but I can partner with them to do the funding of the trust if it's a transfer of accounts.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. That was a good question. All right.
Ticha,
Go ahead. Oh, Lisa, go ahead.
yeah. Is there a minimum age for a Roth IRA?
So, no, the short answer is no, but the long answer is that in order to have an IRA, you must have earned income. So if the person is younger than 18, it would be a minor IRA that has to have a custodian that's over 18, or from 18 on, it's just an IRA. You just have to have earned income to be able to qualify.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and we will put up, I think the next slide has some info, maybe if I remember. Yes, there we go. Our websites. So if you have questions, if you weren't here with us live, we thank you for watching the replay that was sent out. You can get your questions answered. You can go to our websites, find information, and we are happy, like I said, and I know Ticha feels the same way. If we can answer for a question for you, we are happy to do it. If that means that we work together long term, that is amazing. And if you just need some questions answered to get pointed in the right direction, we're happy to do that as well. The discovery visits really help both of us get to know you, your situation, your goals, what you really want to achieve, and if working with us is going to help you get there, or if there's another direction that we need to send you, we're happy to do that as well. But we would love to answer any of your questions. And anything else this evening, Ticha?
And our scheduling links will be included with the recording, correct?
Yes. So when we send out this recording, if you're getting this recording, that email will also have the scheduling links to, it will have our email addresses if you just want to shoot us a quick question, and it will have the scheduling links for our discovery visits. If you feel like you want to explore what I do as a health coach or what Ticha does as a financial coach, we would love to have the opportunity to speak with you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for being here, and we will say good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.